shallow scoping. That's one of my favorite ways to scope is shallow. This is a Sensei worm by Yamamoto. I like to throw this on a Neko rig. And especially in the springtime, these fish are moving up shallow. They're getting ready to spawn. Some of the country, they're already spawning now. But a Neko rig is something which I'm sure you guys have seen on live videos, Bassmaster MLF, that everybody's catching them on a Neko rig right now. It's a really good bait. It's the most natural bait that you can really throw up shallow like that with a worm. I grew up knowing Aaron Martens really well, and he was one of my best friends. I got to fish with him a good bit of time, so his favorite bait was a Neko rig. He was the Neko rig master, so I got to learn a little bit from him about that thing. So man, it was really cool to be able to get to know him and fish with him a little bit, because he was the most natural fisherman I've ever been in the boat with, so it was really cool. But those are the 3 ways I like to scope. Suspended fish is probably, I'd say probably my favorite way of doing it, the scoping, just because if you get in an area where they're all grouped up, you can really get right quick. The topwater stuff's the most fun for, you know, if you're trying to have some fun doing it on those herring lakes, because those fish, when they come up on that topwater, it's unreal. And then the shallow water scoping, those are my 3 favorite ways to scope. So these 2 baits are really similar, but they've actually got some differences. The shad-shaped swimmer, it's something that I throw when the water's a little bit more stained. It kicks out a little bit more vibration, gets those fish to, you know, react to that bait more. When you got that stain, the minnow is good, but it just doesn't kick off a lot of displacement in the water. It doesn't kick off enough as this swimmer, and it really makes them bite it. Another thing I like to do is, you know, throwing a more 2-tone color with the minnow is something that I really like to do, because you've got that flash. When you're actually working your rod, that minnow, you know, it tends to roll, and that 2-tone color, it kind of hits off each other and reflects. And that's something that gets those fish to bite. I don't know what it is about the rolling, makes big fish bite. And secondary action is a huge thing that I've really paid attention to in the last couple of years. You've got the shake of your rod and that bait bouncing, but you also got the bait rolling. That's a secondary action. Same thing as a swim jig. You're pumping your rod. You've got that action of the swim jig bouncing, but then you've got a trailer that's also kicking. That's a secondary action. Big fish like secondary actions, and that's something you can do with that minnow. And then also the swimmer. It's a great bait to just throw around and reel it in above those fish. It's an easier bait to throw if you're a beginner with LiveScope and you want to throw something that you don't have to really shake right on the fish's head and make it roll. You can just pick up that swimmer, throw it above that fish, keep it above them. Depends if you're fishing, you know, a place like the Coosa River where there's a lot of bait and those fish are really aggressive, you can just kind of burn it over their heads and you'll catch them. Or if the water's really cold, you might have to creep it. So there's a lot of different ways you can fish it, and those are my 2 favorite ways to, you know, scope. And there's a lot of differences in the 2, but they both do around the same thing with the suspended fish. Yeah, so suspended fish, man, you can catch suspended fish throughout the whole year. Starting with springtime, I mean, the fish they're moving into spawn and they're moving out to spawn. You know, you can catch those fish moving in or you can catch those fish moving out. That's one of the best ways to catch a really big fish, is hitting those pinpoint areas around those spawning areas where those big females are moving in and they're moving out. I like to target them with, you know, the scope shad and also the swimmer, but a really good way to target those big fish is with